Co- Coffee with Craig and Jane today. Or tea and biscuits, we were saying.
No,
we
afternoon
to come
tea
back to
with-
our afternoon tea
Afternoon
sessions.
tea with Jane.
So we're quite open this week when we see you all. So those that have come here for the first time, this is our psychic show. Jane and I are mediums. And we take your questions on all manner of things, mainly sort of more generic things rather than not personal questions so much. And not really prediction making on this show. That's more for our individual channels. We do that. Although we talk generally about the things in the world as well and where we're going and issues and things like that. So we start off, Jane and I have a little chat. We say a few hellos to those of you coming in. But remember to put some questions up. You know, like I often think it's a good idea. Write the word question and then write the question, or Q in the question. Because then our guy that's doing it for us, Matt here, he can spot who's coming up with the you can see them quick. And you know, if you chit chat too much, it's hard to catch your questions and get them up on the screen. So we're going to try to get as many people's questions up on the screen as we can today, and we'll jump back and forth from all sorts of the questions, won't we? And we'll have a little chat first, shall we, Jane, about something or other?
If you wish.
Yes, we'll chat about what we need to get shopping, shall we, or something? So we'll say well, if there's any hellos, we'll say hellos as we go along too. So
it's Carol.
Oh, Australia, Carol. Okay, quite a few people been coming in from Australia. I gave a reading to someone last week. I said, "You've got an Australian voice. What time is it there?" She said, 3 o'clock in the morning. 3 o'clock in the morning to come and have a reading. Blimey.
I suppose you would anyway. Gail, hello from Scotland. Hi, Gail.
Hi, Gail. Nice to see you. Thanks for supporting us. and joining us.
Hello from Germany.
We get a lot of people from Germany support us. Yeah. A lot of troubles going on in Germany, really, starting.
And Nana, hi everyone from the port of Southampton, UK.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, there we are, people from Southampton as well. Anybody in Southampton can come and get private readings with Jane at our home. Hello from chilly London, Sheila. Oh, you're in the UK at the moment then. It's chilly there in London. You go back to India, it's nicer.
No, don't say that.
Oh, I'm friends with Sheila. Ingrid saying hello from Montreal. Montreal too.
Canada.
Blimey.
Yay. Hi, Craig and Jane, Carol.
Actually, we've gone around the whole globe there, pretty much.
Belinda, good evening.
Anyone in the North Pole? Our granddaughter was up in Iceland. Right, so let's have a chat about something. What can we talk about? Hi from Gibraltar. Yeah, there we go. That sounds good too. I did a little video. You think you saw me do it the other day, Jane, about Islam and all that, right?
Okay.
But I know that's a bit of a contentious topic, and you don't like to handle contentious topic. I understand that. This show's a bit different. But someone asked me on there, what's your religion, Craig? Because they can't work out what my religion is, because I kind of talk about...
It's eccentric, isn't it, religion? You're an eccentric religion.
Yeah. So what would you say? What would you say our religion is, or your religion, or any religion?
Well,
come to that?
I think being spiritual, it should embrace all as one. No particular religion should say they're better than another religion, because to me that's just sheer arrogance and ego. So I suppose a religion of love, and religion as one. You don't need to go to church to be any particular religion, as long as you've got good values, a good person, kind, compassionate, and love.
Yeah, because I think it's a difference, isn't it, between religion and spirituality. They're two different things, in my opinion. You know, I mean, spirituality is about direct experience, your personal experience. But religion kind of puts things in the way, doesn't it, sometimes? It says, oh, you can't have your personal experience. You can only have the experience that we tell you to have, i.e., you know, you can only have it through this particular holy book. Don't you think that? Don't you think religion always puts a barrier between yourself and direct experience? Or sometimes it does, not always.
You see, when people get older, they suddenly start going to church, don't they? Like the Church of England.
Oh yeah, when there's a funeral, they all become very religious in this Christian church.
When I go into any church, Catholic church, I always cross myself. Or if I see somebody's funeral, I always cross myself.
I try to sort of pay homage to whatever religious place we've been in. I mean, we've been in, I mean, I was thinking about it today. We've been in Christian churches, of course, and things like that. I've been in temples all around India with the Hindu religion, been in Buddhist temples in Thailand we went to, and to all that, by faith in Israel, and the Jewish faith. I've been to Jewish synagogues, in Catholic churches, been into the mosques of the Dome of the Rock, for example, and went to a mosque in Morocco and things like that. And each time you adjust. When in Rome, be like the Romans. And when you look at them all, really, what's the difference? I mean, they're all, like I was talking before, they're all believing in one God. You know, they all believe in that. They just sort of interpret it in different ways. But the problem is, and this is something, you know, some of you might have comments about, but the problem is everybody then says, well, this is the only way, you know, and it seems to me completely daft.
But surely you are God, I'm God, we're all part of God.
Well, a lot would argue and say that that's blasphemy, you see. You'd have been strung up in the Christian church for saying that.
I probably would have been.
We probably have been in the past.
Yeah, probably.
Because they say, oh no, you can't say you're God, even though someone like Jesus, for example, said these things that I do, you can do also.
That's right.
What did he mean by that? You see, he says we're all the same. You know, I and my Father are one. But he only called himself the Son of God. He didn't call himself God itself. So there's all these things that happen, and again, you can get strung up in with the Muslim church, Muslim faith, if you say that you draw a picture of Muhammad, because nothing must be represented, not even the prophets, you know. So it's strange how but yet at heart, like you were saying, it's love at heart, isn't it? At all these religions, ultimately, the key message that all the saints, prophets, avatars, sages, gurus, you know, all the sages from China, for example, with Taoism, the saints from the Christian church, they're all talking about love ultimately, or a form of it, really. Buddha called it compassion, which is kind of a refinement of the idea. It takes it out a little bit more into the divine realm when you call it compassion. But you know, we understand it as love. And I suppose, you know, if we think about it, really, you know, it's so simple. It's so simple to sort it all out. What? It's just such a simple idea. And yet we make it so complicated. We create such divisions, and we see all around the world wars going on, many of them because of ideas that are separated by religious faith, and religious belief, perhaps, is better. Yeah, anyway, that's what was on my mind. Anything you saw?
Well, you can always join our religion, because we're going to start a new religion.
Well, at the moment, I am my own religion, but there's probably only one person in it, and that's
yourself.
Me. I'm a religion of one. And perhaps that's what we should all be, that. Just become a religion of one.
Prima, 1942. Oh, Jane, as I get older, I stop going to church and temples, and I just try to be a better person. I think you don't need to go to churches and temples. You can do your prayers at home, or you can have your own little temple, and you can have your own sort of lingams and different things like that, as long as you're a good person, good values, and you pray. I mean, my mother's quite upset at the moment because she's got to have her little doggy put down, and I said, well, sometimes it's the kindest act you can do if an animal's suffering, and but I don't know what to do. I said, I can't make that decision for you. Usually an animal knows when it's the time to go.
Yeah, see, a lot of religions, like Christian religion, says that animals don't have souls.
Of course they do.
It's part of the Christian teaching that animals don't have souls, only humans have souls. So I think there's a mistake, personally, because they do. And, you know, for your mum, like that her little dog is like is everything to her, absolutely everything. That's going to be very sad, because he's going to go soon.
She was going to spend £4,000 just to go and have another second opinion and things, and I said I wouldn't do that, because at the end of the day you must know in your heart, and you must know, and the animal knows, and always be there for an animal if it's their time to go. I mean, rabbits will go off in a corner to die peacefully. Most animals will go off somewhere.
Went off and died in a corner.
You know, but animals do know. They do know.
Religion is made, I believe, and God and spiritual is embracing life and all life of all religions. Yeah, I think it is really. A religion can get yeah, I think in the West we make a lot of mistakes with that, don't we? We kind of seem to turn it all into rules and regulations. And I like what was the original Chinese religion, Taoism, and even Tibetan Bon and things like that, where they were very much close to the idea of nature.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Taoism.
the first god presumably was the sun, because he saw Father Sun and Mother Moon, or Mother Earth, Father Sun and whatever, the moon, sun, and the earth, because mankind lived with nature, didn't they? Like all the early religions of like Egypt and things talk about Osiris and the movement of the sun across the sky. So we used to look at the world and wonder, and used to look at the sun and think, wow, what's that? That must be a god. So early days we externalized and thought God was outside of ourselves, something we pray to get, boons from. But actually, as we progressed, I think we began to understand that actually what is God other than our own consciousness? And what is our consciousness? And when we look to the depths of our consciousness, what we find is an infinite consciousness that links us all together, where it comes in where we say, well, yes, I'm God too. We're all God. Even our individuality is just something, just a wave floating on the ocean, they say.
That's right, Nana. Your heart should be your temple.
That's
Absolutely
nice.
right. Because, if you're a good person and you have good thoughts and lots of love, it doesn't mean you're a walkover. You've got to project that to other people. It's like if you're walking along a road and you see somebody really down and you just smile at them, that makes the day. So you're radiating that love.
Not many people do live with heart, do they, really? We all live, we're taught to live by, when you look at the whole thing that's being thrown at us with advertising and things nowadays, with everything that's being thrown at us, when you're watching this YouTube and the rest of it, you'll get adverts thrown up. What awful things sometimes all of it says. I know it's paying our bills here for this, but at the same time you think, it's all about materialism, isn't it? Nothing's about giving. It's all about getting and forgetting, as Sai Baba says, rather than giving and forgiving. Getting and forgetting rather than giving and forgiving.
Materialistic robbers.
Yeah, they are.
They're materialistic robbers.
Yeah, and the problem is it's taking our attention all the time. And it's saying, look, don't be interested in this. Don't be interested in being who you are and thinking or anything like. Have a good look at this gambling ad. Maybe you'd like to do some gambling and feel good and dress like a cowboy and play sky betting or whatever they call it, And you think, oh God, how dare they throw that sort of stuff at me? But obviously people late at night doing the gambling ads and all the awful stuff. And that's just an example of so many. And this sort of, I remember reading The Hidden Persuaders by Vance Packard, who was back in the 70s, and he said about how what they're selling you is not the product. They're trying to sell you these sort of prestige, or they're trying to sell you ideas such as they're trying to sell you a false happiness and so forth. So we don't live by heart. Anyway, so
Thank you, Carol. Making a currency changer, Iraq dinar making...
I don't know about the Iraqi dinar because I know it's. I get the feeling it's a bit in trouble, and that the dinar's going to, they can't switch over to the dollar. I don't think. I don't know. That's more of a prediction sort of one, Carol. It's not in that zone at the moment, really. It's more like a conversational zone for us today. But maybe it's something I'll look at perhaps when I start looking at the currencies of the world, when I do my predictions on that.
Right. Mystic Rebel. Hindu traditions are multiplied and about being with nature to see the divine and everything. Yes, well, when you reach the divine or enlightenment through the divine or a higher consciousness divine, it makes you a better person because you feel as your whole being and purpose in life.
Yeah,
that does it for me.
Well, the Hindu idea is that all the many gods are representations of the one god, the Brahma. And so Hinduism I particularly find fascinating because I think it's the same echoes are in all the religions in many ways, particularly still in the East. You see it in Taoism too. That there's that they hark back to another religion that was there before, what they call the Sanatana Dharma, the original way, really. So there was an old religion, I think, tens of thousands of years ago, that we've got the echoes of in all of the religions of the world somewhere, that taught about the oneness of existence, and great teachers that were in that.
Miriam says, I think it was Sai Baba who said all religions lead to God, which I understand as accept the difference religion as an individual path to the one God. That's what I say. All religions should be as one. Love all, serve all.
They're all paths up the mountaintop, up to the mountaintop, aren't they? They all lead to the same
Except
place.
we did have a friend that got stuck up Primrose Hill.
Yeah.
Mina.
So Sai Baba, they all lead to the same goal, actually. And actually, maybe they're not even paths at all. Because ultimately, the path is your own heart, as the lady was saying earlier on, that we need to live by the heart. And actually, if you live by the heart, you've actually already achieved your goal.
Yes.
Because, it's like saying everything is love, but love's not somewhere else. It's here, now, in what we do, in our existence, in every possible thought we have. And that's where I think it's powerful to put your contemplation, to think about things like that, I am love, living in love, moving through love, That's the way to think about it, I think.
You want to read that?
What I love about temples, churches, is the vibration of the thousands of millions of people who have gathered there over time with a pure heart of love and devotion, no matter what religion or faith.
That's true. If only the world at the moment could all come together, and there's still a lot of love in the world, and all think positive actions, and all pray for those children on both sides, that they get the help. We want world peace. That's what we want.
I mean, the vibrations, isn't it?
Yes.
Some places, like here in Winchester, we've got the Winchester Cathedral there. An absolutely beautiful vibration. And we went down to Christchurch, Chichester, didn't we, the other day? And they've got a big installation there at the moment, worth going and have a look at, of a just beautiful light installation in purple light. Make a great background for the videos, but beautiful place, and the energy of those places. And I think it's a great thing when the churches start putting art in them as well, because I always think art and creativity
music,
are very close to spirituality.
Music.
And music too. We saw Ravi Shankar, didn't we, in Salisbury Church?
That's right. And his
Salisbury
daughter
Cathedral.
as well. His daughter.
Yeah, she was playing there too.
Music.
And I think that's a great thing, because if art and religion come together, I mean, they were very powerful things in the early days. All the great Renaissance came to illustrate the stories of the Bible, didn't it? Religion misses out when you end up with just a load of bearded guitar players and you load of rubbishy sort of sandaled bearded guitar players singing
What
Jesus
century
songs.
are you in?
No, I'm saying we want to get back to real creativity linked with spirituality. Cut off the shoes and sit in a tree. But no, play the flute. No, I mean, a lot of the art that goes is weak, but I see good stuff coming forward now and tying in with not necessarily Christian artists, I assume.
Right.
That could be a way to animate it.
Right. How can it possibly be peace when the religious scriptures preaches people to kill your enemy? It's ludicrous to think that God would like humans to do that. It's not God, is it? It's man. Man's after power. Man's after power.
Absolutely right, though. It depends how you read some of it. I mean, you read the Christian faith, a lot of the Abrahamic religions, as it were, full of lots of bloodthirsty stuff, because they all came from tribal fights, And then it was picked up by the Romans, who were the most bloodthirsty people of all, who could crucify thousands of people to just the processional ways and things like that.
No, they used to use humans as torches.
Yeah, and things like that. That's what I say. And then even the East too. I mean, terrible things happened as well. All through history, religion has been abused and used wrong, and it's being used and abused now. But I suppose it's like there's two parts of it. Where do we put our emphasis? You can turn to a religion and you can become some fanatic of any religion that wants to kill and maim people, or you can take that same religion and find from it something that is great for the world that can help mankind. So I don't think we should ever vilify any religion. Even I'm sure lots of people are going to vilify Islam because of what happened to the Jews, just like other people are vilifying Judaism because of what's now happening in Gaza, and eye for an eye and the whole world goes blind, said Gandhi. But we have to think that it's like people. People are a mixture of good and bad, aren't they?
That's
You know,
right.
and you've got to always try to talk to the good in a person. If you talk to the bad in a person all the time, you're going to just emphasize that. So that's what we place our attention on, grows in strength. And I think with religions, we want to try to pull the best out of it and let go of the bad stuff. And that's why literal readings of these books and things, and literal readings of holy books, always ends you in trouble, because you can justify just about every foul act with just about every religion's teachings in the world if you've got that twisted mindset.
It's like on the planet, there's dark forces at the moment and hatred, so we want to push that right back. And light always puts out darkness.
Yeah, darkness can't survive in light, but light can survive in darkness, can't it?
Right, Linda. Animals do have souls. I respect the Buddhist. That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, the Buddhists will have great respect for all animal life, because they say every animal that's walked the earth could be your mother. So if you tread on an ant, with all the millions of incarnations that you've had.
Chinese believe in animals. That's where all the zodiac signs.
And I think Buddha got a lot of his ideas from Jainism, which is a religion that's sometimes overlooked. I mean, they go to extreme lengths not to harm anything. You know, it's Gandhi's idea for the ahimsa too, of non-harming. You know, doing no harm.
Well, Buddhists wouldn't kill an ant. And I believe that Willow, our granddaughter, she won't eat mushrooms because she believes that there's little insects or creatures, she calls it, this goes over mushrooms. And if you eat mushroom, you would harm it. That's a very Buddhist thing. Yeah,
I suppose a soul is something that's got self-awareness, isn't it? Sentience. And I suppose humans have higher degree of sentience than an ant. So I would say that obviously there's some degree of sentience and consciousness and soul. There must be a weight to it of some sort. But no, all life, I suppose, is sacred. I think the Buddhists are onto something there.
Steve, we need aliens to invade our planet so we all become one. Well, we're not quite ready for that yet. I don't know about you, Steve. I don't think we're ready for them yet.
I think a lot of people think like this. I don't blame you, Steve, because people think we're going to mess it up. How can we possibly manage in this world unless there's some intervention from the angels, they would have said in the past. And now we think, well, the angels, perhaps that's not going to help us. Perhaps these angels are aliens. Perhaps aliens can help us. It could be, couldn't it? That, I mean, there's a lot of suggested proof from von Däniken.
Wasn't there?
Sorry?
Do you remember that book, God Was a Spaceman?
I was just saying, von Däniken and people in God Was an Alien or something. God was I can't remember the title of it now. Yeah, I think it was. But and all his books about the chariots of the gods and all the rest of it. All of these things were suggest that perhaps we were bred by aliens, that the human genetics were somehow given a boost by another. And if they did, they might still be here.
People with rhesus negative O blood was linked to aliens, and I have that, so you might be married to an alien.
Yeah, I think I could make some funny comments. I'm not going to.
You daren't.
I dare not. I got the weekend ahead. I don't want to be forced shopping all day for punishment. Yeah.
Funny.
Right.
Mystic says some religions are really political ideologists using a god disguise. That's very true, isn't it?
Political ideologies, yeah. I remember
true.
I gave a reading to David Icke some years ago, and one of the comments he said was, and we're talking about religion or something. We didn't have a long conversation, but had a little brief conversation, which was quite nice. And he said, religion. How did he say it? Yeah, religion is the most perfect form of propaganda of all time. And I thought, yeah, he's absolutely right. I mean, it's like political propaganda, isn't it? Because I mean, it was political. I mean, you look at the way the Catholic Church and the popes dominated society. You look at the way the emperors of China used twisted Confucianism round, really, to dominate society. You look at, I'm trying to think of all the religions in some way have been a political organization. And the Tibetans did pretty well with it, but that was still the whole society became religious. There was no politics. It was just pure religion. But that kind of didn't work once you come up against the material world of the external forces. So yeah, but it's been used for people's personal power. Even right back, look at the Romans. The only reason Rome became the the only reason Rome became a Christian country really was because Constantine, I think, was, although he saw some cross in the sky just before he did a battle, I think he was more likely to be scared of losing grip of power because there were so many Christian people sort of happening with this cult that was happening with Christianity at the time. And he hedged his bets, I reckon. So it's all kind of linked in. And that's one of the things, we must take politics and religion must be broken away from each other. When I saw people like Tony Blair and George Bush and people with very strong Christian views, I worried because like this is war, this is potential, all sorts of potential dangers can come. You need people with you can't stop a person believing in one faith or another, but you do need to be able to keep it out of politics.
Henry VIII comes to mind. He tried to wipe all the churches out.
He was one that tried to get push religion out because he was completely dominated by the church. But anyway, let's have a little break. I'm going to put like we have these little interludes where we have a little bit of filming from the past. And while you're watching it, if you've got any questions, you can keep putting them in, because we're going to be talking about all types of topics. Just because I started off talking about religion don't mean we have to keep on with that. We can put any topic you're interested in. But Jane and I, this is going back a bit, I don't know how many years ago, we went back to California, about 5 years ago, this the clip we're going to show you. And we're doing some stuff in California. So this is me and Jane, a sort of little 6-minute clip, I think it is, of me and Jane in California. So this is just our little interlude. Don't go and make a cup of tea, sit and watch it, please. But if I can find my mouse, yes. Let's pop this up on screen. And if you've got any questions, don't forget to keep popping them in. If I get it right, yep.
There you are.
I'm Craig, and this is my wife Jane, and our surname's a bit of a mouthful, Hamilton Parker, it's very English, and we're mediums from the UK. Now, I don't know if you use the same terminology in America, but a medium basically communicates with the spirit world.
As a child, I knew I was different, but I didn't know how different I was because I used to see auras around people's etheric bodies. And I took it for granted that everybody was the same, and I never wanted it. All I wanted to be was a missionary nurse. So I fulfilled my dream by becoming a sick children's nurse and a psychiatric nurse. And believe you me, it's been very useful with this.
I don't know quite where I am with this link, but I don't quite know where I am anyway.
Not even in the real world.
Leave me home sometimes. But I'm hearing the name Jennifer, and there's something, I believe this lady, I think this is the person on the spirit side trying to give me the name Jennifer, and there's something odd I keep being shown here. I keep being shown china birds, owls and things like that. There's something about china birds.
I had a house and I had owls.
I have a lady connecting with you, please. Can I hear your voice?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm looking around your auric light here, and she tells me, would you understand that somebody passed over and I'm getting breathing difficulties?
Yes.
He says, he went quickly to spirit, he says to me. He says, I think it was heart. He said, boom, I've gone like that. And I sort of like, I'm almost stood up 1 minute and I'm flat on my face. He says to me, it was so unexpected. The doctors didn't even spot it in the medicals. And something about Leo. Why am I getting that?
Leo, his father.
Okay.
They're the real deal. And they're really sweet. Like, you can tell they come from a place of love, which is very endearing.
I know. You know a charlatan, and especially in Los Angeles, you know when you're meeting shady people. These guys are the real deal, no doubt. Yeah.
But I just feel she's in a better place.
I agree.
Better place. And so one has to feel, my darling, your wishes come true.
And he's given me the feeling that at the end, there's something I put into the coffin with him, he's saying here, something that was very emotionally significant to you. And you wrote something that was poetic with it, because I feel as if I put something poetic. It's only a stanza of a verse. It's about 4 lines.
Oh, that's true. Both these people, everything they said about the stuff they talked about, they were accurate. They are the real deal, and it kind of blew my mind a little bit. I'm not a mind blower, you know, by nature, but you know, it was real, and all crap aside, it was real.
This is Jane and Craig Hamilton
Ed,
Parker.
pleasure. Very nice to meet you.
Hi,
Thank you
nice
for
to meet
coming.
you. Yeah.
I've asked them here today to help clear this energy so that we can really expedite this project.
Oh yeah, there's some negative energy in the property, and I think I'm interacting with it right now.
Okay, so besides me, and if my energy needs to be cleared, so be it. Please bring
You
it
heard
on.
it here.
All
I may
right.
have to subpoena these tapes at some point.
So you're like an ambassador in a way.
I'm trying. We're all doing our best.
Yeah, I
Even
think-
Rochelle.
You heard it here. We got it on.
Well,
She's
I
doing
think
her
we
best.
better cleanse him.
Cleansing. Can we get one of those to keep at the house? A cleansing bell. I need a cleansing bell on standby. Rochelle, this is a room called a kitchen. Let me try to explain to her. People
They have
cook
them
in
in
here.
restaurants. I
They
heard.
do apparently.
If people are going to do some spiritual work, you also have to get the body in tune as well. And Pilates is a pretty good way in for people to find that out.
Well, Los Angeles is all about looking good, is it not? And being nice and toned and being gorgeous. Not that I'm not already.
I'm going to teach you a little bit today about what we call psychometry. Now, Jane and I work as mediums, that's communicating with the spirit world, but when we have students working with us, we have to teach you, first of all, to learn to sense vibrations, as it were. So, objects will pick up the vibrations of the owner. There was a lot of family concerns. I don't think that adult passed the spirit, but I think there was something there where there was worries and problems in hospitals and things going on that could have haunted them. They have a little bit of a fear of illness, I have to say. I suppose all people do, but I just get a little bit of a sense of fear of illness with this person. I sense also with them that they're a person that really likes to get into the open air.
The only thing that you didn't get right was that I have never been to Paris, but I have lived in Africa, I have traveled Europe, not Paris, but I have been. I used to have, around the age of 7, moved from Africa to Canada. Around that age time, I was very worried, but I used to have recurring dreams that my father was very ill.
Yeah, and I found it was a father, but he didn't die, did he?
Not at that time.
No. For me, it might sound wrong, but it's kind of, Jane would call it verbal diarrhea. I just say whatever comes into my mind, you know? The thing about working psychically is you have to get that rational mind out the way.
Well, there you go.
Yes, and that man's definitely not going to have any tea tonight, showing me doing press-ups. I was forced to do that, and they're saying how strong I was. And that. I didn't know he was going to put that up, so he's not having any dinner tonight.
Oh, you were going on all about my haircut in there all the
It
time.
looked like
yeah.
the back of a ferret, and it looked like he had a toupee and it slipped.
Funny. Yeah, well, anyway, that was one we were doing when we were back over in America.
Shame
It was
on
fun,
you.
though. An American friend filmed that for us, so it was. He loved all the
Banter.
and things like that. You know, what do they call it?
That was Madonna's personal trainer that was doing that to me, make me do all
Yeah,
that.
I think it
and she
was.
couldn't believe how strong I was.
Yeah. Yeah. That's in the
And
days
you'll
when I was
find out later
I was
how strong
training
I
to be a
am.
yoga
Click,
teacher.
click.
I had a little less weight, I think, then too. Oh, right. So where do we go? Any more questions, guys? Like I say, you can open up your questions or anything you like, and you know, can keep to the topic that we've been on hand. I know a lot of you have found that quite a good, strong topic. They say never talk about religion or politics, so I always talk about religion or politics because I think that's some of the most interesting things, particularly when you bring the two things together like that. You know. So, we've got any more questions coming up? Hi, Craig and Jane. Do you have any thoughts about Atlantis, please? Oh, that's a way off topic, but great. Yeah, yeah. What do you think about Atlantis? Any thoughts, Jane?
Well, it's meant to be the hidden city, isn't it, under the
Yeah.
ocean? I'm sure there were places like it, and I'm sure when there was earthquakes and different things, it all disintegrated and was right down the depths of the sea.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
sure there are places, but I don't see it as people see it.
Well, I was really impressed by the books by Graham Hancock, who I think has given us the most interesting theories about what happened 10,000 years ago. Because he said that there was the end of the Ice Age. There was a huge, great ice barrier right the way across where the Great Lakes are now in Canada. And when the ice gradually melted, it gradually broke, and a huge, great sea of fresh water behind that all flooded the whole of America all at once. A massive, I mean, these are huge cataclysmic things, which could well have happened. I mean, you think, look at any of the planets in the solar system, and all sorts of events like this are happening all the time. And that water raised the levels very quickly and sunk what we might have understood as being Atlantis. I'm very interested in what the Indians would call Kumari Kandam, which is south of India, which was a huge, great area, a continent that is mentioned in things like the Nadi oracles and things. And where Atlantis was, I'm sure there was an Atlantis, unless it was, also the Persian Gulf flooded at that time too, when the sea levels rose really fast. So that could be the stories from places like Sumeria, which flooded quickly, and that might have been thought of Atlantis. Or it could also be the stories of when the island, what's it called, and the island in the Mediterranean by Crete blew up. Just I've forgotten the name of it now, but the island Santanderia or something, I've forgotten the name, exploded, and the ancient Cretans were flooded by a tsunami. So there's lots of potential things. Atlantis was mentioned by Solon, who was Egyptian, to Plato, and that's pretty much the only reference we got to it with a direct reference to it. But it could be, it could be a mixture of multiple stories of around the world of these huge floods that could have happened 10,000 years ago as the ice was beginning to melt from
floods
the earlier
like
ice
New
age.
York, isn't it? It's like it's all going back, reverting back, isn't it?
Well, God knows what sort of cataclysms we'll get today. I mean, you could get something could wipe us all out the way it goes. I mean, when that virus hit us all, first thought was, is this it? We just all going to be wiped out by like the War of the Worlds with H.G. Wells. The space invaders were completely wiped out by the common cold.
It'd be a good few thousand years yet, so it would revert back to the Ice Age.
Yeah. So I think that, but I'm convinced there's definitely something in Atlantis. And, not just Graham Hancock, who's brilliant. I love his work. I went and spoke to him briefly, actually, after he gave a lecture. But he was a very, very nice man, very accommodating too, and would speak directly to people, person to person. And his wife is Tamil too, comes from Tamil Nadu. So he was quite interested in the Nadis when I mentioned them to him. But so I'm all for Atlantis. I'm probably not in the classic way, like they think of as an ancient Greek city or some sort. But who knows? I think one day we might even discover it. We might find the remains of it.
Question, right? Will a new land area arise in the North Sea? Is this why London will flood?
Yeah, because I made a prediction saying, you
you?
heard me say, I think, I get the sense that London's going to flood.
But they got
I'm not seeing-
barriers, though, haven't they?
Yeah, that's why I said it seemed completely nonsense. It just feels wrong on an intellectual level because London is covered. It's got the Thames barrier, but I just saw London flooded, and I get a feeling it's soon. I don't feel it's years away. I'm seeing that.
I don't think it's going to happen yet.
But we'll see. But I don't think it's anything sort of as traumatic as a new land area rising in the North Sea. Though I know that I think. What did Hitler believed and the Nazis believed that there was another land like near Iceland, which they saw as a sunken world. They had a name for it, and again I've forgotten that. I'm getting older. What was the name It was Teutonic Knights and all that idea. But I've forgotten the name of what they called it. But they believed there was a sunken land that would rise again
but there
in the
has been
Atlantic.
fossilised trees when the sea and the ocean went back. Upside down trees. Do you remember all fossilised?
Yeah, that
they
was
discovered
interesting,
that
because that was from the area. Because that was an upside down tree they found in Norfolk, which is on the east coast of England. And that area on the east coast of England, all the way from there to Norway, once upon a time was called Doggerland, right? People went there dogging. Yes, I know. I saw your look. Doggerland. It was a complete flat area of land that flooded, and it flooded, and they're digging up all the time. The trawlers are pulling up bits and pieces of old
all these trees,
stone and things and
thousands
things.
of years.
And they found an upside down tree, which they used to worship the tree upside down. The world turned upside down.
Christ fishing boat as well.
Oh,
and
well,
the sea went right back.
That I don't know about the sea,
did.
because that would have been on Galilee, wouldn't it? Oh, I know what you're thinking about. I think here you're talking about St. Peter's boat when he sailed to Malta, wasn't it, or something?
No,
I'm not sure.
Malta. No, it wasn't Malta. It was a Galilee.
And there's another land. Malta was attached to Sicily, and there was a land bridge between there. And those monoliths that we saw on Malta there suggest there was another civilization way back that was perhaps connected to the mainland of Italy. So I don't think so. In answer to your question about that one, I don't think there's going to be another land rise.
No,
but
there won't be.
I think we will see major changes. I mean, if we got
environment,
if we got so much ice melting in the polar caps, but then they kind of always look at things in one way. Like there's been some David Attenborough stories in the news recently on the new BBC programme, and the people have been criticising it, saying, well, he talks about the ice melting, but he doesn't talk about the new ice forming. And he talks about the extinction of this species, but actually this species is thriving in another part because we're doing work on it. So, the BBC can't be trusted, unfortunately. But so my thoughts are, we never quite get to the bottom of these things, do we?
Right, Catherine P. Do you connect all the time with your own deceased relatives? I'm always talking mine, but I'm not a medium and they probably can't hear. No, I haven't got the time to talk to them all the time, to be honest. I'm a very busy woman. That's true.
It's true enough, actually, yeah. I mean, when we do mediumship, we're really connecting when it's time to connect, which is like, you have to get into the zone, as I call it, really. There must be a better word than that, but you have to get yourself in a certain frame of mind to do mediumship. And similarly, you have to get yourself in a different frame of mind when you're doing clairvoyance and predictions and things like that. That's why when people book readings with us, we say, are you looking for a mediumistic reading, or are you looking for a sort of a life guidance reading? Because you've got to get into a very different state of mind. Mediumship's very different. And it's not something you could stay in that state all the time. But if you're quiet and meditative, then you can naturally connect with the spirit world, I suppose, in a more gentle way than when you're doing a reading for someone. But they will hear your thoughts, Catherine. That's a thought, though, isn't it? Because if you are sending thoughts out to those in the spirit world, they'll pick up your thoughts. They might not necessarily listen. Because, if you're talking to them day and night, they're getting on with their life and their world as well, although time's differently there. But the vibration of our thoughts fly from us. Thoughts have wings. Thoughts travel. And they travel across this world from person to person. They also travel into the next, which is because we live in a multi-dimensional existence.
Different realities.
And I suppose you could say in some ways the spirit world is overlaid over this world in a certain sense. Certainly our inner world is the same as the spirit people's inner world.
Like
so,
Clifford. My mum always said that ghosts will not hurt you. It's only the living. My grandmother used to say that. You've got to be careful of the living, not those ones that's over on the other side.
True enough, I suppose, yeah.
And there's another Irish saying, never talk ill of the dead while you go past a graveyard.
Yeah, well, I
Come
like
back
to
and haunt you.
Pop in there for a chat sometimes. It's quite a good idea. But yeah,
they'll never let you out again.
You don't need to be frightened of so-called ghosts.
No, you don't.
Although the kids are all out there at the moment going around and
yeah,
like
but
Halloween.
that's a bit of fun, isn't it? Right, Nana. I'm waiting to see if any ghosts will be visiting us on Halloween. Any ideas on how to see them better or make the connection easier? Tar ever so much. That's funny.
And, yeah, very posh,
Well,
very posh, Nana.
what they used to do on Halloween, this is what my grandmother said. You light a candle, you put it in front of the mirror, and you're meant to see your future husband, or you might have a person from the other side that suddenly appears.
Oh yeah, there's all sorts of superstitions
Don't do that,
like
children,
that.
at home, will you?
But the whole idea with Halloween was to scare away the ghosts, wasn't it? That you dress up to scare the ghosts away because the veil between
Halloween's
the two
a
worlds
pagan
is thin.
thing, isn't it?
I think it comes because we're at the point of the changeover of the seasons, aren't we? We're here in Europe anyway. We're just moving between the end of summer and the beginning of winter coming in its way. We see the leaves fall and things like that. So the pagan people must have looked at that and thought, this is a different, special time. This is a time when we're preparing for a little bit scary, the idea of winter upon you when you haven't got Sainsbury's in it down to and things. So I suppose it came from that. I don't know if there is a difference if Halloween actually is a time when the veil between the two worlds is thin. I would say the closest time when the spirit world come to us is Christmas Eve, I'd say. I've always felt Christmas Eve as a time when the spirit world come close, because everybody thinks about those they've lost before they go into Christmas. On Christmas Eve, I think people will think very much about the people they've lost. And I think there's a real genuine connection between the two worlds on Christmas Eve particularly. I think that's a very sacred time, Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And because we're thinking about it, because our thoughts collectively are connecting with the spirit world, not necessarily because of the date, because it's actually an artificial date. It was the date of the Roman celebrations. The Christian ones jumped on it.
Lydia says, could it be that music in a house, example, playing something classical on the piano, changes the vibration in the house? I'm sure it does, because our other house in Italy, because it's quite it's 100 years old, and it's 4 stories high, and I'm sure you could imagine music played in that house.
Well, we started playing music there deliberately because it starts to lift the vibration of the energy of the place. And I'm very much into India, as you know, with all the things that I've done in my life. And I love playing some of the Indian mantras. The Vishnu mantras are particularly good for helping the household to become happy. It makes a happy household. Or if the Gayatri mantra, and some beautiful versions of it out there nowadays, that can also help protect a home and keep away negative things. Though Danielle's into Kali Ma.
And funny enough,
and all sorts of things have been happening since she's been playing that.
I wanted to have a beer in Italy, and they produced a beer, and there she was on the bottle.
Kali Ma's on everything that comes along. She's been drawn to that. But so I think whatever you're drawn to, and I think music generally fabulous. I mean, it lifts the spirits, it lifts the energy, it lifts your personal feeling. I think it definitely lifts the energy.
It does.
I mean, music heals, doesn't it? Music is something that heals us. When we listen to music, it's harmony. It's bringing us into harmony. Charles got his leg pulled over the fact that he used to like the idea of playing music to plants, but I'm sure that works. It brings it's that
they done an
we respond to
Didn't
harmony,
they do an experiment, and they put all these different sound things on a plant, and now it was happy, and then they would cut it, and now it felt like the
The
plant
Secret
was
Life
screaming.
of Plants. That was a brilliant book, and it was a bestseller in its time. And they found that plants appear to respond to having a leaf cut off or something. But also, I think that music and the rhythm of music, I mean, it does us good psychologically, doesn't it? If you listen to a happy tune, it makes you feel a bit better. And they say that in this dark age of Kali Yuga, the Indian teachings say that the quickest way to realization and the quickest way to liberation and salvation, as it were, whatever we want to call it, the quickest way is simply by chanting the mantras that relate to God. So that for many of the people, like in the Hare Krishna movement, that is to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. But any of the mantras or prayers would be the same. So like a Buddhist or a Hindu might chant or Aum, or a Western person might even chant Amen. Or anything that has the vibration of a spiritually uplifting mantra or even a song, I think you could say, helps with personal liberation in this dark age of materialism. It's like it says the complete antidote to materialism is bhakti, which means devotion. So song is very much linked with that, I think. So yeah, nice question that one was, wasn't it?
That's another nice one. Do you want to read it?
Yeah, the Vishnu Stotrams. That's what I was told to play those by Sharavana when I saw him last time. He said play those, and it makes it'll make a happy home. He said, well, it was a happy home, but it'll make a happy home. And I was told in the Himalayas that when you chant them, the whole universe is sitting with you. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we follow Sharavana and he's a lovely man who we feel is kind of, I don't follow gurus as such, but I feel we resonate very much with him when we see him. Beautiful person. And he told us the very same thing, to play the Vishnu Stotrams. I'm never quite sure how to pronounce it, but yeah, I made myself a playlist of those. There wasn't that many of them, but there's some lovely renditions of it actually nowadays. And you don't necessarily have to chant these things in a stoic way. These are celebrations of life. When you look at the words of the old Sanskrit mantras, they're actually beautiful when you translate them into English, because they're absolutely glorifications of the joy of existence. And yes, I agree. The whole universe is sitting with you.
Yeah, we need it now.
And the Gayatri mantra does that too as well. There's another one.
Hi, Craig and Jane. On March, that's it to the end. Being or a spirit appeared in my garage at 6 a.m. Now, every time I go there, wait to see if I can see it again.
Well, I don't think it's all of these things are not necessarily place orientated, are they? If you see a spirit, you might see a spirit in something that might be familiar to you and them. And it's a nice thought. Appeared in your garage. So if it had some special significance, the garage, to you, that perhaps someone you knew that had died there, perhaps someone
There's a special book in that garage I pick up.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, all sorts of people do die in garages, so of course
No, I don't think a death in a garage, but there's something special there.
Yeah, but yeah, so I think it's a good thing to keep connected with the spirit world, but you can be connected with the spirit world all the time though, really, Patty, because it's a question of if we want to get to the spirit world, it's not kind of out there, just like I think God's not out there, it's all in here. We just have to go within. This is what we forget all the time in this age we live in. We think it's all out there. Our mind's always out there, and we don't have much time to sit and we know only time we go within is when we're going to sleep, and then we're dropping off to sleep and going into unconsciousness. But if we can go within and remain conscious and in meditation, that's where people like Jane and I connect with the spirit world. We close our eyes and listen and watch and go deep within and drop within. And if you do it over years and years and years, you begin to realize that that inner world is something quite different to what most people are completely unaware of. And you internalize your consciousness sometimes. Then that's where you connect with the spirit world.
And thank you for the $20.
And thank you for making a donation like that. That's appreciated.
Very kind. Do you want to say about more patrons?
Oh yeah, we'll just talk about that. Talking about donations. As you know, this whole channel and everything we're doing with this studio here, which is quite expensive to run, and the kit, and we bought some new kit recently, as you saw on the Patreon channel, is all supported by the patrons. And these are the guys that pay the little small amount each month to keep the channel going. And you'll get lots of little bit of extras, because it's like a own little community. If you become a patron, you'll see it all in the link in the description below. And for example, I've started now doing little set. I know a lot of you like to watch the Coffee with Craigs, and I'm doing my own little extra Coffee with Craigs, and I do my little rehearsals about what am I going to do next. So if I do a video about something that's a bit controversial, I have a chat about it and do a separate Coffee with Craig just for the patrons. And I also going to connect a lot of Jane's little vlogs she does too, that we can all go on there. So there's a bit of content as well. But really, it's just, these are patrons. The people want to see the channel keep going. You know, you pay for Netflix and what you get. You get any spirituality there. You pay for all these other channels. You don't get anything spiritual and uplifting. But hopefully you be prepared to also support a little bit with this channel. So have a look in the description below. One or two of our patrons there that we're putting thanks up for. So again, thank you for all of you that are supporting the channel and helping keep it going, helping to keep our studio here going. Because, you know, it was very difficult to do this at home because we can come straight in. We've got all the cameras set up. We can do it every week this way. So anyway, there we go. That's the patrons. Go and have a look, please.
Oh,
and thank you.
donation.
There's another donation being given there from a
Super sticker. Thank you,
Hyde.
Super Sticker.
That's a little thing you can do through YouTube one.
W.
Can the soul be felt or heard? Depends what we mean by the soul, doesn't it? I've got a bit of a cold today. I can feel it in my nose now.
What it means, like your spirit is your soul that comes through the crown chakra. It depends. Many persons saying that when somebody actually dies, it's as if they sense and they feel the soul. It's gone on a higher realm, and they can feel the soul around there. Well, I think that can mean many things, actually. I think, you know, you would pick up somebody's soul, couldn't you?
Well, the thing is, what is the soul? So is the soul
a heart? Is it consciousness?
No, that's what I say.
Spirit?
I think the soul is our consciousness.
Yes.
And our soul is also our sense of identity. Now, the Buddha said that the self there's no grounds for a self. There is no self. When you look there, actually, there's no self. Ramana Maharishi and other people, and a lot of teachers said there's no self, there's no soul, because it's an illusion. But with what so that's where I kind of find it difficult, because when I prove there's life after death, and when you prove there's life after death, we prove that the personality continues after death. So that's what I think the soul is. That's what carries all our consciousness, all our being, all our memories, all our sense of self. Now, ultimately, I think probably there is no self. I think they're probably right. There is no self, because that's just like a bubble floating in the sea, which is ultimately a bubble of water in an infinite sea. So although it appears to have existence, it's also part of the one. So yeah, so it's kind of, I think when you start looking into the deeper questions, you come up against paradoxes, and I think there are many paradoxes, and those paradoxes, it is and it isn't. So is there a soul? Yes. Is there a soul? No. Both answers are correct. But like we were saying about an ant earlier on, an ant has a soul. It only has a little bit of consciousness. I have more consciousness, hopefully. So therefore, there must be a certain greater weight to my consciousness. There must be a certain amount more of my beingness. I must have a certain greater being, or am I? Or is the ant just as important as me? On one level, yes. On another level, no. Because, you know, because there's more weight. So perhaps there's a weight to the soul. So if anything can be felt, perhaps it's the weight of the soul. And maybe some people have a stronger sense of weight of the soul than others.
One. Henry. Good evening, Craig and Jane. Do you think that China attacking Taiwan is really bound to happen? How would that affect global? I think it is going to happen, actually.
Yeah, well, I've been saying
it is going to happen.
I'm interested that you think the same thing.
It is going to happen. And that because there's a lot happening behind the scenes as well.
A lot of the newspapers picked up when I said this, and they're saying it's going to be the start.
I don't think there will be a World War III. There's threat of it, and this is throwing all the world off balance, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I've put a lot of videos out there about Taiwan and the China conflict, and some of the newspapers picked up on it and then said this is going to be World War III, and that's their assumption based upon what I said. But I don't think it would be. I think there is a danger. That's a big topic, and I have a look at some of the other videos. But I think ultimately, China's going to implode. We're going to see the end of the Chinese Communist Party. I see China ultimately breaking up into multiple cantons again, and that being a better solution that works for the people and for democracies and for trade. But I do think there's going to be, and when it's a bit too shaky for the Chinese Communist Party, and they start to see the internal strife that will occur in China, because China's getting economic problems now, then they're going to need something to distract people. And that's why I think the similar things happening in Israel at the moment with Russia, going into too much here. But I think what will happen is there will be an attempted invasion of Taiwan. Will they take Taiwan? I don't think they'll take it.
No, I don't think they will. I think they're going to really try.
Yeah,
definitely. That's why.
So there's a lot on the. There's a lot on the. Go and have a look at some of the other stuff there, Henry, and you'll see on some of our videos. I'll have to re-look at this one again soon, actually.
I feel like I may not make it past another year from my injuries from a few years ago. Was trying to schedule a reading with you if you can see past what I'm seeing. Well, come through the website and I'm only happy to give you a reading.
But people, for Jane, you have to come and visit, and I'm fully booked at the moment. But we got the workshops on there too, where people can come. I'll be doing some sort of bits of you can. There's one coming up in January you can have a look at, where I'll be doing a little bit of deep sort of not trance strictly, but deep clairvoyance, which you'll be able to seed questions to me about the world. And afterwards seed a few questions about personal things as well. So that's coming up in January. Yeah, I hope you get well from your injuries though, and heal soon.
Think positive.
Yeah. Positive thought is the best thing to heal, isn't it? And a bit of music too, we were saying. Music heals too. Well, it looks like we're coming to the end, Jane. I've just noticed my watch, and the big hand is on the 12, and the little hand is on the 8, which means here in the UK, it's
only
bye-bye
gone 1
time.
minute past.
So
don't
anyway,
forget, the clocks are going back though.
Yeah, are we on next week? It's the 3rd, isn't it? Next, I think we won't be on next week.
Friday.
I think it's next Friday. We're off, aren't we?
Yes.
But same time, same channel, most Fridays. Okay, and so see you guys all soon. So thanks for joining us. Bye for now.